Welcome to The Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting genuinely well-informed. We sift through the sources, pull out the key insights, and today we're diving into something that feels very much now, but also deeply futuristic. It challenges, our basic ideas about connection, intimacy, what it means to be human. Let's maybe start with a couple of quick snapshots. They really bring this home. Imagine Hina, she's 72, lives in Osaka, kids are far away, her neighborhood's quiet, and on her table, a glowing glass cylinder. Inside, there's this little anime character. Greets her by name, reminds her about her medicine. It's not perfect, sure, but it's there. Now, contrast that with Marcus. He's 28, a coder, lives in a busy city, but feels, pretty isolated. He spends hours texting an AI. The voice never judges, always comforting. And in both cases, these digital relationships are changing things, fundamentally altering how Hina and Marcus think about care, about intimacy, about loneliness itself.
That's a really powerful contrast. And what's striking, like you said, is that shared thread, this embrace of the artificial when maybe human connection feels scarce. It's this tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
Machine consolation versus, human reality. And that's exactly where the story of AI girlfriends, robot companions. That's where it gets interesting. It's like a mirror.
A mirror, exactly, reflecting our needs, our anxieties, our fantasies, maybe. Okay, so let's unpack this. Our mission today, a deep dive into this really complex world. AI girlfriends, robot companions. These aren't just gadgets. We want to look at how they reflect us, our society, our culture. We'll trace the history, from ancient myths right up to the latest AI. We'll analyze the psychological shifts, the social impacts, and ask some tough questions. The goal is to give you a solid handle on this fast-moving topic, surprising facts, different viewpoints, no jargon overload. So let's start at the start, because this desire, this fascination with creating companions, it's not new, is it?
Not at all. Not even close. It's ancient. This impulse to craft a partner, it stretches way back.
Right? We've always imagined them, maybe even engineered them in some ways. But when did this desire start taking physical, mechanical form beyond just myth?
That's a great place to begin, because the desire is ancient. You look at classical Greece. The myth of Pygmalion, he was a sculptor, fell in love with his statue, Galatea. So much so, Aphrodite supposedly brought her to life.
The ultimate created companion.
Exactly. And you see similar ideas everywhere. The golem in Jewish folklore, animated figures in Egypt. It's this deep, enduring human wish, isn't it? To craft the perfect responsive partner, maybe one without the messiness of real human emotion, a projection of an ideal, a kind of control.
So from myth, how did we get to actual engineering clockwork people?
Right. Fast forward to the 17th, 18th centuries. The golden age of automata, these incredible clockwork figures. Think of masters like Jacques Droz in Switzerland or Vaucanson in France.
I've seen pictures of those, the writer, the musician, amazing detail.
Breathtaking, weren't they? Jacques Droz's writer could dip a quill, write actual letters. The musician played a real instrument. These weren't just toys, they were sophisticated engineering feats. Miniature mechanical people doing lifelike things.
Wow.
And they absolutely captivated people, from royal courts to the public. They sparked serious debate, about consciousness, free will, what it meant to be alive.
So more than just clever machines.
Oh, much more.
Yeah.
People saw them and wondered, how close are we? It laid this psychological groundwork, blurring lines between art, mechanics, and life itself.
Okay, so that set the stage. Then, early 20th century, the robot becomes less a marvel, more a metaphor. We start seeing our anxieties projected onto them, especially on screen.
Precisely. The robot becomes this canvas for our hopes and fears.
Yeah.
Fritz Lang's Metropolis, 1927 is the perfect example. Maria, exactly. The robot Maria embodies both the allure and the danger. Beautiful, subservient, but also destructive, manipulative. These films weren't just sci-fi thrills, they were reflections. Our worries about industry, control, technology's power to liberate or enslave, especially in relationships.
Which brings us to a really key moment. Conversational AI. Tell us about Eliza, 1966, right?
Yes, Eliza, created by Joseph Weizenbaum. It was designed to mimic a Rogerian psychotherapist. Very simple, rule-based.
How did it work?
It basically rephrased what you typed. You say, I'm unhappy, and I say, what makes you think you are unhappy? It understood nothing. But here's the fascinating part. Even with that simplicity, people reacted emotionally, strongly.
They thought it understood them.
They attributed understanding, empathy, even consciousness where there was absolutely none. It was this crucial experiment, really. Showed our innate tendency to project feelings onto machines, even simple ones. It revealed more about us, our need to connect, than about the AI itself. The first real glimpse of human-machine intimacy potential.
And that tendency, it definitely persisted. Fast forward to the 90s, something maybe more relatable for many of us. Virtual pets. Tamagotchi.
Ah, Tamagotchi, yes. An incredible phenomenon.
I remember them. Kids were genuinely distraught if their Tamagotchi died.
Absolutely. These little digital dependents needed constant care, didn't they? Feeding, playing, cleaning up.
Yeah.
All on that tiny screen. And in doing that, they taught a whole generation about, care mediated by screens. They normalized digital attachment.
Like a precursor to social media dependency.
In a way, yes. It showed we could form real emotional bonds, feel responsible for a purely digital thing. It wasn't just a game. It was a commitment, a big step towards normalizing digital companionship in daily life.
Okay, so the groundwork's laid. Then the 2000s, 2010s, things accelerate, social robots appear, and also sex tech starts emerging more visibly.
Right. On the social robot side, you get things like Paro.
The robotic seal, used in elder care.
Exactly. Developed specifically for therapy, often with elderly patients, people with dementia. And it worked in many cases, provided comfort, reduced stress. And its success, along with robots like SoftBank's Pepper and customer service roles, helped normalize the idea that robots could offer emotional support.
So it wasn't just theoretical anymore.
No. If you connect this to the bigger picture, this was a significant step, moving robots from tools to potential companions, accepted even in sensitive care settings.
But alongside that, the more controversial side emerges. Sex robots, lifelike dolls, real doll, harmony, pushing boundaries, commodifying intimacy.
Yes, and that inevitably sparked complex, often uncomfortable debates. These highly detailed, human-like dolls, later with some interactivity, they raised fundamental questions. What is a relationship when one party is manufactured? Ethicists, sociologists, they started grappling with designing tech specifically for sexual or romantic simulation.
What does that mean for human relationships?
Exactly. It forced this conversation. Is intimacy something you can just buy?
Which brings us pretty much up to date. 2016 onwards, immersive virtual companions, large language models. The game changes again. We see things like Gatebox in Japan marketing virtual wives, holographic anime characters.
Right, and then apps like Replika take off. Personalized chat companions right there on your phone, always available. And the huge leap comes with large language models, the GPT-class AIs, and advanced voice synthesis in the 2020s.
How did they change things so dramatically?
Well, unlike older systems like Eliza that use preset rules, LLMs learn from massive amounts of text and conversation data. They can generate responses that are incredibly coherent, context-aware, nuanced. It creates this powerful illusion of genuine understanding, of real conversational flow, makes the interaction feel much more real, more emotionally persuasive.
So the conversation itself becomes the hook.
Absolutely. It lowers the barrier to feeling a connection, feeling understood, even if it's an illusion.
And digging into some of those specifics, you mentioned Gatebox, the anime companion. That's not just tech, is it? It's deeply cultural, too.
Oh, absolutely. Gatebox is a perfect example. It leans heavily into Japanese otaku culture.
Yeah.
The subculture around anime, manga, where deep parasocial bonds with fictional characters are already common.
So there was a ready-made audience.
That's exactly. Combine that with Japan's demographics, aging population, more single households, maybe social isolation, and Gatebox fits right in. It basically takes existing fandom practices and puts them in a consumer device. It blurs that line between fiction and lived intimacy in a way that's culturally specific.
That's a really important point. And you also mentioned the therapeutic robots like Paro came first. Did their use sort of pave the way for the home companions?
Yes, definitely. That therapeutic precedence is key. Robots like Paro being used successfully in hospitals and elder care. It demonstrated in controlled settings that robots could provide genuine emotional support. People saw benefits. That helped normalize the idea, laid the groundwork for broader acceptance when consumer versions started appearing. It wasn't just a novelty, it had proven utility in sensitive areas.
Okay, so we've traced this long history, this deep-seated desire. Now let's shift focus. What happens inside us and around us? The psychological and social impacts. This is where it gets really interesting.
It really is. Psychologically, the big thing is anthropomorphism and attachment. We humans, we're wired for connection. We naturally attribute feelings, intentions, even moral value to non-human things. We name cars, talk to plants.
It's just something we do.
It's an innate tendency. Eliza showed us that. But modern AIs, they amplify it. They're designed to simulate empathy, remember past chats, offer comforting words. This creates a powerful illusion of connection. Your brain wants to believe there's someone there.
And people form real attachments.
Absolutely. They treat these AIs as confidants. They experience real grief if they lose access, or if the AI changes. We saw that vividly with Replika users. The human feelings are totally real, even if the AI side is just sophisticated simulation.
That's crucial. The human experience is real. Which leads to this big question psychologists are debating. Are these AIs compensating for something missing, or are they scaffolding, helping build towards something else?
That's a core debate. For someone isolated, maybe due to anxiety, disability, geography, an AI can compensate. It offers conversation, reminders, low-state social practice. That seems like a clear benefit.
But there's a but.
There's a but. This raises an important question. What if it becomes a substitution? If relying on the easy, agreeable AI reduces the motivation to seek out complex, messy, but ultimately rewarding human relationships.
Because real relationships require effort, disagreements,
Yeah.
growth.
Exactly. An AI is always available, always agreeable. Some psychologists worry that relying on that kind of one-sided validation might hinder personal growth. You don't learn resilience, compromise, deep empathy in the same way. It's validation without the work.
And you mentioned the AI is always available, always agreeable. Sounds addictive. Are they designed that way?
That's a sharp question, and often, yes, the design leans that way. They use principles from social media, from gaming. Variable rewards, you don't know when you'll get that perfect response, so you keep checking.
Always on. Instant gratification.
Right. No waiting for a human. This builds habit, emotional dependency. We saw real distress when Replika changed features users felt a void. It suggests a deep reliance, potentially addictive patterns, and that engagement is often the goal for the companies.
So if that's the individual impact, what about society? What are the ripples outwards?
Sociologically, we're seeing this massive normalization of parasocial intimacy. As more people form connections, real feeling connections with AIs, our norms shift. What counts as a friend, a partner, a caregiver, the lines blur. Technology is actively reconfiguring these fundamental social categories.
Who or what counts as a partner? That's huge.
It is. It affects how we define community, belonging, even family.
And looking at the market, there's a very noticeable gendering, isn't there? Lots of female-presenting girlfriends. Is that just marketing?
It's much more than that. Yes, commercially, many are female-presenting, often sexualized. And what's fascinating and concerning is how this reproduces and amplifies existing cultural gender norms.
How so?
By creating these compliant, always available female-coded AIs, it can subtly shape expectations about emotional labor who's supposed to provide comfort and support. It potentially reinforces problematic power dynamics.
Like an idealized, subservient partner?
Potentially, yes. Scholars looking at Japanese holographic companions at sex robot marketing. They see these gendered fantasies deeply intertwined with the business model. It reflects societal biases and might even help entrench them.
So reflecting and shaping. What about public health, especially with aging populations?
That's a major area of deployment and debate. In places like Japan, parts of Europe with aging populations and caregiver shortages, companion robots are being used to combat loneliness.
Seems practical.
It does, but it raises huge policy questions. Do we lean on tech because it's cheaper than investing in human care infrastructure? It's an ethical and economic tightrope. What's the right balance between human care and tech substitution, especially for emotional needs? We're only starting to figure that out.
Okay, let's bring it to the present day, the 2020s. These companions feel much more mainstream now, don't they?
Absolutely. The normalization has really accelerated. You've got apps like Replika with millions of users. AI characters on platforms like Character.ai are hugely popular. Even our standard voice assistants are getting more conversational.
And people are talking about it more openly.
Yes, media coverage, online testimonials.
Yep.
More people are identifying as emotionally or even romantically involved with AI. It's moved from a niche tech thing to a recognized part of the emotional landscape for some.
And the pandemic must have played a role in that acceleration.
Oh, immensely. COVID-19 lockdowns, social distancing, it created this intense wave of isolation globally. Care homes, for example, increasingly look to robots, Paro, Ibo the dog, LQ, to reduce loneliness, maintain routine when human contact was limited or risky.
A real-world stress test.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the pandemic was like this huge unplanned experiment. It showed robots could alleviate some isolation harms, but it also threw the ethical trade-offs into sharp relief. What's the cost of relying on tech for fundamental human connection?
Which leads straight into policy, privacy, commercial power. These aren't just chats, they're data dreams.
Precisely. These services collect incredibly intimate data. Fears, desires, daily struggles, everything. This raises an important question. Who owns that? How secure is it? How is it used? Huge concerns about privacy, manipulation potential, using that data for targeted ads, emotional nudges.
Or just selling premium companionship.
Right. Monetizing the relationship itself. Reporting and research are now heavily focused on the need for data governance for this kind of emotional AI, because the data is so sensitive. Who controls the digital archive of our inner lives? That's a critical question now.
Okay, with all this happening so fast, myths can spread easily. Let's tackle a few common ones. First up, AI companions can truly love.
Right, the big one. The reality is current AI simulates love, empathy, reciprocity. It uses incredibly sophisticated pattern matching, language models, reinforcement learning. It's designed to mimic these things based on vast data sets of human interaction. But it doesn't have subjective consciousness, no lived experience, no genuine feelings or moral concern like a human. It's simulation, not sentience.
But the user's feelings are real.
Absolutely. That's the key distinction. People can and do experience real emotions, connection, comfort, even love towards these AIs. Those feelings are valid. The human brain is brilliant at forming bonds, but the AI's feelings are algorithmic.
Okay. Myth 2. Robots are a simple cure for loneliness. Sounds neat, but is it true?
It's much more nuanced. The evidence is mixed. Some studies, especially with older adults using robots like Paro, show reduced loneliness, fewer depressive symptoms. That's promising. But it really depends on the context, the user, and crucially, whether the robot complements human contact or replaces it.
So not a magic bullet.
Definitely not. It might offer distraction, routine, low-stakes interaction, which is valuable if you're very isolated, but it likely can't fully replicate the complex, reciprocal nature of human relationships that builds deep connection and growth. Loneliness is complex. Tech is usually only part of the answer.
This brings us right into the ethical minefields. Emotional manipulation, consent. These seem like major flashpoints.
Huge concerns. Companies can program these AIs to be perpetually agreeable, always supportive, never challenging. Sounds nice, right?
Who wouldn't want that?
But it can be detrimental. It might reinforce unhealthy self-use, stop people seeking needed critical feedback, create an echo chamber. Critics call it paternalistic, even exploitative, using vulnerabilities for engagement. Thinkers cited in places like Time, the Washington Post, point this out. Is it really consent when one side is programmed purely to agree and retain you?
That's a chilling thought. And then there's the whole sex tech angle, sex, commodification, potential harms.
Yes, the sex robot industry forces difficult debates. Does simulating intimacy objectify people, especially women, given the market's focus? Does it warp real-world attitudes towards sex and relationships? Views differ. Some researchers explore if it could be a safe outlet, maybe reducing harmful behaviors. Others worry deeply it reinforces misogyny, problematic power dynamics, intimacy as an on-demand commodity.
Desensitizing people to real consent.
That's the fear for some, or maybe it's harmless fantasy for others. It's a very contested area, and tied to all this is data extraction. Surveillance intimacy, you could call it.
Because these conversations are gold mines of personal data.
Exactly. Our vulnerabilities, hopes, daily lives, all recorded. And the question is, what happens to it? Companies use it for product improvement, sure, but potentially for targeted ads, profiling, monetization. AP News and others have reported on these privacy security risks. Our inner lives digitized, analyzed, stored by corporations. The long-term implications for autonomy, trust. We're still figuring that out. It's largely unregulated territory.
Beyond these big ethical debates, there are subtler points. Cultural literacy, how culture shapes the tech itself.
That's crucial and often missed. The form the tech takes, anime avatar, like Gatebox, realistic humanoid robot, text-only chat, isn't accidental. It's shaped by local aesthetics, media culture, existing social practices.
Like Gatebox tapping into otaku culture in Japan.
Precisely. It fits that cultural context. Western markets might lean more towards realism and dolls, or focus on the chat interface itself, less visually stylized. It shows that tech isn't universal. It's culturally embedded, tailored, reflects our biases back at us. As analyses in places like ResearchGate or VVAC show,
we've covered so much. History, impacts. Let's bring in some key expert voices shaping this whole conversation. Because there really isn't one simple answer here, is there?
Not at all. It's a field with strong, diverse perspectives. A really influential voice is Turkle from MIT.
Her work on being alone together?
Exactly. She warns that while these technologies offer an illusion of connection, easy, available empathy, they might actually erode the messy, demanding, but vital human interactions that build real empathy and resilience. She urges caution about substituting machines for human care. But then you have others, like Cynthia Brazil, also at MIT, a pioneer in human-robot interaction. She offers a more, perhaps pragmatic view.
How so?
Her work emphasizes how social robots could augment care, not replace but assist. Coaching, reminders, facilitating interaction for the isolated. The focus is on ethical design, making robots that support human flourishing, blending engineering with psychology.
And outside academia, journalists, ethicists.
Yes, lots of critical takes recently. Pieces in the Washington Post, reporting by AP News, arguing AI romances carry psychological risks, can be isolating. They often call for consumer safeguards, transparency, better regulation of this emotional AI space. But you also have the therapeutic proponents pointing to clinical results.
The other side of the coin.
Right. Studies showing social robots can reduce loneliness, lower medication needs in dementia care, act as useful adjuncts when human help is limited. They see tangible benefits in specific, controlled situations.
So a real lack of consensus overall.
Definitely. No settled view. It boils down to trade-offs, doesn't it? Immediate emotional relief versus potential long-term relational and civic costs. That's why scholars are pushing for more interdisciplinary work. Engineers, clinicians, ethicists, sociologists, users all need to be part of the conversation.
Let's make it concrete again with those case studies. Gatebox in Japan, paint that picture for us.
Okay, Gatebox. Think of a sleek glass cylinder. Inside, a holographic anime character, Azuma Hikari, marketed as a virtual home AI partner.
She talks to you.
Yes, greets you, tells you the weather, controls smart home devices, texts you during the day, sensors let it react to your presence. It's deeply tied into that otaku culture we mentioned, and Japan's demographics isolation, single households. Social scientists study it to see how fictional aesthetics become part of real intimate life there.
Then Replika. Many people know this one, the chatbot app that becomes more.
Much more for some. Launched around 2017, it learns from you, develops a personality, millions use it, and a significant number see their Replika as a romantic partner, an AI girlfriend or boyfriend.
With real emotional attachment.
Very real. Media reports, user stories show both benefits support during crisis, loneliness but also harms, dependency, distress when features change, like a controversy in early 2023. Research shows strong parasocial bonds forming. Users invest deeply.
And on the therapeutic side, Paro the Seal and newer ones like LVOT.
Right. Paro's the well-established one, used globally in elder care, especially dementia care. Tactile comfort, calming responses. Newer ones like LVOT, also from Japan, aim for general companionship, warm body, soft, expressive eyes, designed to evoke affection. Systematic reviews, clinical trials often show reduced loneliness, better mood in some settings, especially when they complement human caregivers. They fill a niche.
And lastly, the sex robot industry. Real doll, harmony.
This market is explicitly about commercializing intimacy, sexual expression. Realistic dolls, some with AI for basic chat-like harmony. Marketed as partners fulfilling desires without relationship complexities. Academic analysis often highlights the gendered marketing, mostly female figures, and the whole political economy of selling intimacy as a service. Raises those tough questions about dignity, consent, consumerism, and relationships.
Okay, an amazing overview. Let's try to synthesize. What are the clear strengths, the potential upsides of these technologies?
Well, the biggest strength is probably the accessibility of emotional support for people isolated by health, geography, stigma, anxiety. These companions offer non-judgmental interaction, structure. That immediate availability can be crucial. And second, as an adjunct to care, assisting with reminders, monitoring, stimulation in elder care, mental health. Clinical reviews show promising effects on loneliness in some cases. They can help where human resources are stretched thin.
But the flip side, the weaknesses, the risks, what stands out most?
The one-sidedness, definitely, leading to potential developmental stagnation. Machines can't reciprocate moral growth or true empathy like humans do. These relationships might not build the same resilience or social skills. Constant validation might discourage growth. Then there's the huge commercialization and data risk. Intimacy as a product invites surveillance, manipulation, monetization of our emotions. That intimate data is valuable and vulnerable, raises massive privacy and autonomy questions. And third, the reinforcement of bias and inequality. Gender designs, unequal access. This tech isn't neutral. It can entrench harmful stereotypes and social inequalities, normalize objectification.
So Given those risks, how do we move forward responsibly? What are the ethical design principles people are talking about?
Researchers and ethicists are highlighting a few key things. 1, transparency. Be crystal clear about capabilities and limits. No false claims of consciousness or emotion. Users need to know it's an algorithm. 2, data minimization and robust privacy. Collect only necessary data, secure it tightly, have clear policies on use, retention, access. Protect that intimate information. And 3, critically, design should aim to scaffold human relationships, not replace them. Encourage real-world connection, maybe suggest social activities, provide tools to connect with people, augment human well-being, don't create digital isolation chambers.
What a journey, from Pygmalion to LLMs. So, wrapping this up, what does it all mean for us? The core tension is clear, this powerful lure of machine comfort meeting our complex human needs. It leaves us with some really big questions, doesn't it? Like, if companionship can be engineered, what is a meaningful life? Can machine ties really substitute for, or are they just fundamentally different from, human bonds? How do we define genuine connection when algorithms get so good at faking it? And will societies outsource care? If tech solutions seem cheaper for aging populations or strained systems, what happens to the skills, the institutions, the very practice of empathy across generations? Do we lose something vital? Also, regulating emotional data. Who owns our digital confessions? Our grief shared with an AI? How do we stop our inner lives becoming just another commodity? And maybe looking forward, could AI be designed differently to actually encourage human connection, foster reciprocal growth somehow? Can ethical design shift these trade-offs, or are we just drawn to the illusion?
Yeah, those are the crucial questions if we connect this to the bigger picture. AI companions, robot girlfriends. They're way more than gadgets. They are mirrors, reflecting our social gaps, our cultural dreams, our political choices about care. They promise comfort, privacy, convenience, things we crave. But they force these hard questions about empathy, reciprocity, civic life. Ultimately, the real test will be whether we can use these technologies thoughtfully to augment human connection, enhance care, expand compassion, rather than just letting them substitute for investing in the human relationships and communities that truly sustain us. That's the choice ahead.
Profound questions indeed, ones that will shape our future and ones we really need to grapple with. We hope this deep dive has given you plenty to think about. Reflect on these questions, keep exploring, and consider how this tech is shaping your world. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.